Meeting is now streaming. I sees it.
Is it going?
Yeah. Sure. To Discord I go.
Yeah, I don't know how many people are going to be on right now. Probably not many. But whatever. It's very distracting to comment with people while we're doing it.
I find
So
it, yeah. I try my best, but I do get distracted. And I'm the MTV generation, David. If anyone can do like 20 different things at one point, it's me. But I'm getting old now. Not what I used
this
to
is
be.
a pretty funny picture. Yeah, there's like something going on in my hallway.
Oh, somebody's done Team Foreskin. I haven't been on Reddit in like 3 days.
Team Foreskin.
Yeah, well, I'll maybe read it out in the break when the peoples are here.
All right.
So Ted Cruz, Walden Scott's done an amazing meme of Ted Cruz in
Ted
the White
Cruz?
House. So, and it's you and me going, "Hey, what's that smell?" And it's Ted Cruz in the White House.
Hey, Mr. Salter, how you doing?
Oh, Mike. Hello, Mike.
All right. I think it's all posted.
Just setting up here. Just setting up. Oh, cheers, Mike. We both work very hard on the Patreon. I like the Patreon more than the main show. Sorry, D. I know you put a lot of time and effort into it, but the Patreon's fun.
You don't think the main show is fun?
The main show is
you get
fun,
better phone calls.
Do you get better phone calls? But I love doing news. Mainly because
Maybe we should just
you
scrap
do all the work and I just get drunk and say belligerent comments. That's probably why.
That is pretty much what happens on the news.
Yeah. But no, I love the main show too. But Patreon's very fun. Mike, why are you up so early?
It's a good question.
Yeah, Mike. Mike said it very aggressively then.
All right. I think I'm good. Did you put it out on check? Did you put it out on the Z Reddit?
Reddit, Discord, and I did an Instagram thing.
Oh, nice. I didn't post to my Instagram, but fuck it.
You are such a dad at reposting the stories. You can never put them in the right order.
I have no idea. I just go repost, share, done.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to do it properly.
I know. I remember having to explain it to you how to do it like you would with your dad.
I still have never
do the stories.
I still don't think I've ever done a personal story. Have I? Not one that you haven't made?
Yeah, no, I don't think you have.
I don't think I have. Yeah.
Not even put a
Do I sound loud to you?
I don't know. Do you? Do I?
I don't know. Yeah, you sound fine to me.
Hello, Benito. He's here. You can start. Benito is here. We can start.
Oh, Benito. I miss you, buddy.
His last name is Tortellini, which is going to make me hungry throughout this whole fucking show.
Is that a real surname, Tortellini?
Tortellini. Well, it's obviously a pasta.
I don't know if it's a real surname.
He has 5 banned Reddit accounts. He's a troll.
Damn.
Tortellini, man, you're a bad guy.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
You probably get started. Luckily, my cat is sleeping, and that's a good thing. He's a chonker.
He got diagnosed as a chonk today.
I know. The doctor kind of was pissy with me about it.
Got a chunky cat.
Yeah.
You got
kind
a
of
fat
caught me off
pussy.
guard. Well, I mean, I asked him, I was like, because you're not in there. You're not, I didn't have to get his stern, judgmental look. But I I was like, hey, how'd the exam go? He's like, oh, he's pretty healthy, other than
Except,
his belly. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, he's got quite a belly on that cat. He's about 4 pounds overweight. And I was like, wow, I didn't even think about that. It's a pig, chunker, sodbuster.
Benito's name is a tribute to Mussolini.
All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Good evening. Welcome to Sick and Wrong, the world source for antisocial commentary. I'm one of your hosts, Simon.
And I'm fellow cult leader, Kate Rambo.
It's cracking there, Kate Rambo.
Just leading my cult to the bitter end. Oh,
leading
it's hard work, I tell you. I
got
tell
the
you
charisma
what,
down.
it is more hassle than it is anything else. Just people coming to you with all their problems all the time. I just want their money for them to die. But it's just constant.
That's the problem with the messianic complex. It's hard to maintain.
It is. Really I tell you what, the end is nigh, D. The end is nigh.
So I was in San Francisco last weekend, hung out with my nephew Ozzy. My sister like plays all this, like she's got all these like toys. She's tons of toys for this kid. And a lot of people gave her all these toys, but it has almost like whacked out music. Like it's got like little kids. Like there's this one toy that he has that looks like a keyboard, but you press a green button and this like cheesy voice about like, I don't know, some like green eggs and blah, blah, blah. It's almost like green eggs and ham, but it's like this like stupid song. Kind of pissed me off. So I was just playing Danzig off my phone. And I was thinking, I don't think it's necessarily a harmful thing to get a kid into Danzig earlier on,
I think it's for the best.
I wish my parents would have done that.
For his long-term best. I think
I think so too.
Done at childbirth. Like Elvis, he should also be on a regular schedule now of listening to Elvis.
That's a good idea. I think I might do that. It was fun seeing the kid grew a lot. Like I saw him in March, and now he's like double his size. Probably he smiles. He like grabs shit.
Use like a hot dog as a scale. How many hot dog lengths is he? Like 4 hot dogs in a bun.
Are you saying like a soy dog, like a not dog, or a regular hot dog?
Just a regular hot dog, like you would get.
I don't know anything about regular hot dogs.
Would they fit in the palm of your hand?
No, I don't fucking know. He's like 3 feet or something. He weighs like probably
3 feet tall.
I don't fucking know. 2 feet. He can't even stand up. He's got a little fat fuck. He's got cankles.
It's probably like 3 hot dogs length, I would say. 2.
I don't know. Do you measure? Is that how you measure infants?
Everything.
In England,
I do
dogs?
Everything by how long is the sausage.
Get a ruler. Wait, which sausage are you talking about?
I thought you were going to say get a room then. And I was like, my hot dogs, gladly.
Wait, which sausage are you talking about?
Take your mind out the gutter. It's the hot dog.
I got to say one thing. So Stephanie and Big Jer obviously are obsessed with this kid, because it's their kid, but they're obsessed with particular aspects of this kid's life, like his shit, his feces. It's a thing. And I was like, that's all they talk about. They have a calendar marking down like how long it's been since he's gone. Sometimes he won't go for 4 days. And when he does go, it's like a celebration. It's like fucking Mardi Gras because the kid just shit. And then she will like ask Jared to come over and take a look at it and be like, what do you think? And I'm like, I don't know.
Who would appreciate this? She should send these pictures to Steele from the Ville. They used to have an entire photo section of just Steele's shits. So the baby could be comparing.
It's not even a log. It's like paste.
But he could compare and then tell them what to feed the baby to start producing real logs. Also good for his future.
Don't you think it'd be a little, I don't know, kind of creepy if Steele's looking at like baby's diapers? He's got tons of like pictures of baby diapers, like used baby diapers on his phone. He's like a single man.
Is it not creepy
bachelor?
What they're doing? They're writing down when their baby takes a shit. That's a bit creepy, isn't it?
They have a shit. They have a shit
diary. Log of the logs.
They have a log of logs. Yeah. I was like, this isn't normal. She's like, no, it's actually very normal. All parents do this.
No.
And I don't know. I think that baby's going to be like, this is weird. I think they're going to be watching him when he takes his first shit in like a toilet. And it's going to be a thing that they do together as a family. As a family.
The family that shits together stays together.
Yeah, it's the glue that holds that family together. I don't know. I'm not taking any part of it, but I was like, it's fucking gross. And I don't think you should get this excited over baby shit.
There's basically
Really,
nobody watching now because all we're talking about is people shitting.
I'm not surprised.
I'm
Unfortunately,
with them.
I didn't get to see my brother. My brother got the COVID.
I think,
Jeffrey.
yeah, I think he will be fine with the COVID. I certainly think he's probably felt worse because of other things.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. Like with all the diseases that my brother has, or is it like the viruses he's come in contact with on a daily basis? I'm wondering where the Rona like stands in terms of like being lethal. Like,
Yeah,
is it
like
as
what?
bad as the other ones that he has?
How does it compare to the worst come down he's ever had? That's what I'd
Yeah,
like
or
to
like the
know.
super gonorrhea. Does that kill the corona? I don't know how it works. Like,
Balances it out, maybe. Yeah, I'd like to know
yeah.
too.
But he looked like utter shit. Like I went over there to give him some chicken soup and some sugar-free Gatorade. But he's vaccinated, so it kind of lessened the severity. I think if with my brother's health and the state of his like diabetes, weight, whatever, been smoking since he's been 12. I think if he got the Rona, like initially without being vaccinated, I don't know if he would have been able to survive it. But with the vaccine, I mean, it's sure he says back hurts, he feels tired, but I mean, he was only down for a few days, so it wasn't as bad. So I'm not sure. And he probably got. I've also heard that the Delta is more contagious, but not as like severe, like less of a severity.
I really think it depends because the Delta has definitely been fucking a lot of people I know in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes you sick, but it's also, I think it depends if you're vaxxed or not. What's weird about San Francisco though, and they're starting to do it in LA. I don't know if they're doing it over in the UK, but so bars are open and you don't have to wear a face diaper. You don't. You don't have to wear a face mask, but you have to have a vax card to get into a bar.
Oh, your hot vax card. Yours is laminated, right?
I was carrying my laminated vax card.
Wipe clean.
Well, mainly, so I can prove to the sluts that they might catch syphilis from me, but not Rona, you know. But Joe Joe Kelly had a picture of it on his phone, and then they're like, oh, that's fine. So you could just show the picture of the phone. You know how like low res that is? No, I'm thinking about it. I was like, I could take a picture of this, go into Photoshop 2 seconds, put Kate Rambo on it, and remove my name. You just put it on your phone,
Yeah.
and there you go. Now you got a Vax card.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. But
No, I'm thinking of doing this. I'm thinking of like peddling fake Vax cards.
I'm sure there's already the market. I'm sure the black market is probably filled with them by now. I think if you'd have done that maybe 3 months ago, you could have hustled some money. You could have grifted some money there. But I think you've always got to get in early on the grifts, right? This is what I've learned. When you're grifting, when you're trying to con people, you got to be there in like your foot in the door. If you've left it too late now, man, you can't grift money out of anyone.
The ship might have sailed, but I don't know. I was thinking of just like peddling fake Vax cards. I bet you that would work in like Eastern Europe. But you could probably get one like at the airport.
Why do you think it would work there? Are you being racist against some of my favorite people on this planet? Because I will not stand for it.
I've seen a Serbian film. I know what goes on there. All right. I think that's like a fake Vax card is like the least of your concerns.
Their worries, yeah.
Anyway, Kay Rambo.
Yes.
I think I do realize that you are aware of this, but I'm just going to restate it for the purpose of the show. It's the anniversary of the Tate murders.
It is?
Yep. They occurred August 8th and 9th, 1969 at 10050 Cielo Drive 52 years ago.
It's a long time.
Today, yeah. Sharon Tate. And
if Sharon Tate had still lived to be this age 52 years later, she would still be hot. She'd be in the 70s.
Yeah, I was about to say, I bet you she'd still be hot.
She'd still be banging, man. She was banging back then.
Yeah, she was very fit. I could see that. I don't know about there were like 4 other people too, right?
Did you have some Stephen guests? Perrin, Abigail Folger, Wojtek Fragkowski. I think I'm saying his last name wrong. And then Sharon Tate.
So it's and the anniversary.
Oh, and Jay Sebring, obviously. Sorry,
yeah,
Jay.
Of course, Jay. Yeah, how could you forget Jay Sebring? So this month we're doing Manson month. on Overkill. It's going to be every episode's associated with Manson, not necessarily about Charlie.
Well, I always say this. I've definitely said this on the show before. I actually think Charles Manson is the most boring out of all the Manson family because he's just institutionalized. It's all the people who he managed to like con and bring into like his schemes that
What
I'm
about
much more
Tex?
interested in. Tex Watson, he's a wanker because anyone who goes to jail and becomes a born again Christian is an instant wanker. But Tex was just like a weird like runaway college kid. He's not who I'm mega into in the family. There won't be an overkill about Tex Watson.
I do like the name Tex, though.
Well, he's a Charles
Tex.
Tex Watson because he's from Texas.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool name. So the topic for today's show is something that Harrison and I wanted to do this like years ago.
This is a Harrison topic.
Well, a lot of the topics that we waited on was because like, oh, I got to get the book first, and that just never happens. So it's like we just kind of it's backlogged. Well, because there are several books on this particular topic. Also, a recent documentary called "Sympathy for the Devil," which is really good. But we're going to talk about the Process Church of the Final Judgment, aka the Process. They're accused of being like a black-caped, black-garbed, death-worshiping church.
Awesome.
They were an apocalyptic cult.
Awesome.
Borrowed heavily from the Church of Scientology.
Not awesome.
Yeah, stole a lot of their tools and techniques. And then people claim that they're a pretty major influence to none other than Charlie Manson.
Dun, dun, dun.
Borrowed a few of their philosophical ideas and philosophies to start his own cult. Not to mention other celebrities were affiliated or involved with the process. And like Marianne Faithfull, for example, was on one of the covers of their magazines. Mick Jagger, but yeah, they actually lived for a while. The process had a location in San Francisco that was right down the street from good old Charlie. But what a weird cult the process was. I've been reading about them all week. Yeah, a strange religious movement. And it's at that time in the late 60s, 70s where, the society was rife with all these like new age thinking groups and occultism and all these different like Scientology was kind of a burgeoning, religion at that time. And so a lot of people are getting swept up with these like new age philosophies and, joining cults. And things like that. And I can kind of see why the Process Church came to fruition and survived as long as they did. But what a bizarre cult. I mean, Scientology, weird. It is weird. Scientology is weird with Xenu and the aliens and all this. But the Process Church, I think they were like already kind of into Scientology. And they're like, let's just make it a little weirder. All right. Let's add like God, Lucifer, Satan. Let's just do it. Let's just do it all.
Kick it up a notch, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's a strange one. So let's get into it here. All dates back to 1963. Robert de Grimston Moore and his eventual wife, Marianne McLean, met at a Dianetics, there they are, auditing session at the L.L. Ron Hubbard Institute of Scientology on Fitzroy Street in London, when did the UK deem Scientology a cult? Is that like in the past 20 years? Or is that like...
Oh, I suppose, yeah, 70s? Because it is, it's not practiced here like the way it is in America, is it? No, I think the cult thing came recently.
Oh, so it's a recent thing. I mean, is it banned?
I'm not sure if it's banned. Well, I think they're banned from having buildings and premises, but I don't necessarily think you're banned from... Is it worship? Like, do you worship the Scientology? I don't know.
Well, yeah, no. I mean, they like in the States, it's considered an actual religion. Like they are excluded from paying property tax on the sundry properties they have all over LA that are worth, I don't know, millions and millions of dollars.
This is a handsome couple. They're both attractive. He's kind of got a Christopher Walken vibe, and she's just like a full-on 60s like love witch babe.
Yeah, check out the second picture of him too. He looks like very 70s, very dashing, like a leading man, like a Rucker Hauer type.
He could totally be on like one of those like Dennis Wheatley cult like novels. I would buy it.
And she's very beautiful too. I mean, they're very a fetching couple. Hard to find pictures of her. I couldn't really find too many pictures of Marianne McLean. So they both met at a Dianetics auditing session. They were studying to be auditors, quote unquote. And based on the earlier system of Dianetics, auditing was Hubbard's method of discovering and eliminating engrams, which is the psychic residue from past traumas. People were so like hopped up on goofballs and marijuana at that time that this all made sense.
Well,
Like they're like,
apparently
yeah,
it
this makes
still
sense.
does to Tom Cruise.
In Los Angeles, yeah. The aim of auditing was to become clear, to wipe the psychic slate clean. And so they were studying to become auditors. So Robert Moore and Marianne McLean were fascinated by auditing, and they became proficient. They were, scholars of Scientology. Both were very enthusiastic about it. Robert was born in Shanghai in 1935. He served in the military as a cavalry officer. Relatively middle-class upbringing, studied to be an architect, smart guy, IQ of 163, and was a member of Mensa. Yeah, tall, handsome, dreamy. But he was passive.
Getting a little wet right here for him.
Passive and emotionally dependent, which is a bit of a perfect match here for Marianne. So Marianne, on the other hand, born in Glasgow, 1931, she had an interesting life, interesting upbringing. Her father left before she was born, and her mother abandoned her. She was raised by relatives in poverty and neglect, attractive, very attractive, driven and ambitious. By the early 50s, she moved to the States. And the rumor has it, once again, it's hard to find a lot of information about her. She paid her way through college and just life in general as a prostitute. And for a time, this is pretty interesting too, she was actually married to boxing champion Sugar Ray Robinson in the early 1960s. Yeah. In the early 1960s, Marianne actually, she was married to him. It was a brief, I don't know, like a couple year marriage. But in the 1960s, she left Sugar Ray and then moved back to London, to the UK. And the split definitely worked out for her because she got a lease on an expensive flat, set up a high-class call girl service in London. So she became a madam there.
I love her.
Yeah, she's kind of amazing, actually. And we'll get to that. We'll get to her role in the Process Church a little bit later. But she had some, top-tier customers and connections with the Profumo scandal. I don't know if you remember that. But
I do.
She was demanding, manipulative, volatile. She had like severe mood swings. She knew how to exploit emotional needs. She had every characteristic of a successful cult leader. And she would foster dependence in those around her, including Robert. Yeah, Robert's an intelligent guy, a good-looking guy, but I think he was easily manipulated.
I think so. I think you said before he was like emotionally needy, and she just sounds like the perfect woman to boss him around. He needs a good, strong Scottish woman to tell him what to do. They wear the pants.
Definitely. I think we know who the brains behind this operation was. So it became apparent to Marianne and Robert that they were too intelligent and willful to remain in the Church of Scientology and follow Hubbard and Hubbard's teachings. And they had ideas of their own that they started testing on their own clients. However, security at the Church of Scientology here in Fitzroy was high, and they had actually bugged session rooms and found out that Robert and Marianne were up to their own little operation here. So L. Ron Hubbard kicked them out. They booted him from the church, and
by the man himself.
Well, the leadership of the London branch, but I'm sure L. Ron was. These were like some of his top students.
Yeah, I'm gonna imagine it was him because that's way cooler to say that he got kicked out the church by L. Ron.
So when they left the church, Marianne said, "You know what? I think it's time, Robert, for you to drop more and just be Robert de Grimston." Because I think it sounds a little darker, a little more occult. She thought Moore was a bit too common. And so his surname officially now is de Grimston. And they married in 1964, and they set up their own system, which is a bit of a combination of the teachings of L. Ron Hubbard and Freudian psychologist Alfred Adler. Now, Adler had developed the idea of the inferiority complex. And he believed that people were driven by what he called secret goals, hidden agendas that gave rise to like compulsions and neuroses. So the idea was to discover these goals and bring them to the conscious level. So by putting Adler and Hubbard together, because Hubbard's like, clean your psychological residue, this guy was like, find out what makes you inferior, bring it to the forefront and learn to control it. They created a new system that they called compulsions analysis.
Right.
I mean, at that time, you seriously could just like look up Carl Jung and be like, I'm going to do the same thing and just name it something catchy.
Yeah, it already sounds like something that could be around now, to be fair, that people would fall prey to now.
Well, I mean, look at the Church of Scientology. What was interesting is they modeled it on auditing and they made use of the e-meter, which is what Scientologists still use today, the polygraph-like device that they employ during their auditing sessions. Actually, because they used the e-meter and the Scientologists found out about it, they declared DeGrimston and McLean suppressive persons, toxic personalities to be avoided by Hubbard himself.
Nowadays,
so they had already been kicked out, but now they were suppressive.
Well, nowadays they'd be disappeared.
Kind of. I think they're conniving, the Scientologists. They have ways to do this, and they call you an SP. Like what was that? What was that celebrity who was on did a reality show, and she was blanking on her name right now. Reality show about Scientology, and she kind of exposed a lot of their secrets, and they called her an SP.
Well, I imagine Louis Theroux, when he did his documentary, was also
I'm sure he was too. So they started just practicing their own system now, and the circle grew. So initially it had been people who had, they met through Scientology, and they started calling it the process, like what they were doing. This whole compulsion analysis became the process, and people paid considerable fees to the DeGrimstons for this treatment, quote unquote treatment. Most of her early clients came from Robert's set. Marianne's friends tended to be a bit shadier than Robert's. I think, Robert had the English youth, young professionals, architects, artists, scientists. That was the core of the following at first. But you want younger, impressionable people who are more receptive, to new ideas. So the group now is about 30 people, and they began to feel the group mind effects of this system. It's kind of like the genesis of the cult.
The madness of the many.
So compulsions analysis moved from self-help to more of a spiritual quest. So the people who had gone through the entire process, the holistic process, now began to regard the rest of society as a bad dream. Like they moved beyond that. Like they're elevated. Their consciousness is elevated. So the DeGrimstons started feeling like what they created was more than a therapy. It was a movement, kind of like Scientology. And so DeGrimston was known as the teacher, McLean, the oracle.
Oh, I want to be known as the oracle. These are like Marvel characters, aren't they? This is great.
Well, they even had like symbols, and we'll show pictures of that later. But the members were called processions. And so the aim was to improve themselves with a view to escape, the imminent world judgment, because you're beyond world judgment. And at this point, I mean, they were full on messianic complex on both, Robert and Marianne's side. They felt inspired. They felt divine powers were guiding them to do this. And so when one of their members, one of the 30, came into an inheritance, they convinced him to take out a lease on a mansion in Balfour Place in Mayfair.
Oh, very swish.
Is Mayfair pretty upscale?
Yes. Yeah. It's full of mansions, darling. Only the elite live in Mayfair.
So they donated this member donated it to the process, and they convinced him to decorate the place lavishly. And they started now at this point referring to from compulsions analysis to more the process is what they used. It wasn't official, but they called it the process. And so he decorated the place lavishly, put a brass plate on the door. Came up there. Yeah, there it is. Came up with a new process symbol that Robert had designed. And you can kind of see it over there on the left. It's like 4 P's. It's sort of like a mandalic wheel, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah, it looks a bit like something else, doesn't it?
I was about to say, doesn't it have like an uncanny resemblance to another symbol that we know?
I wonder.
Yeah. So it's a swastika-like symbol they called the P sign.
The
That was the
P.
insignia. Yeah.
Oh, for
So
process. Okay. Oh, I see.
the
Yeah, because it
process.
is a P. I see it
It's
now.
four P's.
It is not a swastika in any way whatsoever. It's a P. I see it.
So yeah, check out there it is. There's the sticker. A lot of people wore this patch. And they also had like jewelry too that they wore as
Why do they
well.
have to do it in the same colors as the swastika? Just put it out there. Like, come on, guys. At least change the colors. Maybe invert the colors a little. It's very eye-catching, but everyone's gonna know
The
what you
symbol
mean.
here had four superimposed P letters. It was also seen as representing the trumpets of the four great gods.
Who are
And they
they?
also used a second symbol called the sign of the union, which featured the letter alpha inside the letter omega, representing the intercourse of male Lucifer and female Jehovah. I'll show you that on some of their outfits. But yeah, here's the process, Church of the Final Judgment.
That is not an iron cross at all, in any way whatsoever. Do I not look at that and think, hey, that's an iron cross?
I know it is really funny how they use these like evocative. I'm sure, that was definitely intended. So now in the early years, the members of the church here of the process church of the final judgment would dress in black capes and turtlenecks, and they wore
Awesome.
silver crosses and then that insignia there and badges portraying the goat of Mendes. Now, the goat
Awesome.
of Mendes is another way of saying Baphomet. The Baphomet symbol.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So there's okay. Here. This is interesting. Here's a bunch of the jewelry, which I wonder if you can even find this
I
in this day and
100 the dragon cross. I want that, and I do want the iron cross ring. I'm not gonna. I
The
would wear
the
both of
Iron
them.
Cross looks like a shuriken, like a ninja star.
Oh, it does a bit.
Um, so the go to Mendes was the Baphomet. The name Baphomet has been associated with the sabbatic goat image, which was drawn by Eliphas Levi. This is like in around 1856, and it contains binary elements. I don't think I have a picture of it, but everyone knows
Yeah.
what the goat symbol of Satan represents the symbolization of the equilibrium of opposites, half human, half animal, male and female, good and evil. And so the goat of Mendes, which I think that's what Levi initially called it, was probably following the Greek account of the god of Mendes, which was the Greek name for Jedet, Egypt, which was depicted with a goat's face and legs. And so Herodotus relates how all male goats were held in great reverence by the Mendesians. And so at this time, women would publicly copulate with the goat. Like that was the ceremony. Everyone would be like, she's going to have sex with the goat.
Well, they didn't have telly back then. They didn't have radio. They didn't have the internet. I mean, what are you going to do for fun? Come on.
I got to say, it sounds better than Love Island, if you ask me.
Yeah, 100% would rather watch that too.
So at several places in this area of the Delta in Egypt here, the god Pan and a goat were worshipped. Goats had intercourse with women. Herodotus said there's a case where it would take place in the open of the town market where everyone gather around and cheer as the goat was stupping her. The link between Baphomet and the pagan god Pan actually was also observed by Crowley and Anton LaVey, who said many pleasures revered before the advent of Christianity were condemned by the new religion, by Christianity. It required little changeover to transform the horns and cloven hooves of Pan into a most convincing devil, like the satanic Baphomet. Pan's attributes could neatly be changed into charged with punishment sins, and so the metamorphosis is complete. So they took this symbol that was, innocent and worshipped and revered and made it into something evil, now associated with evil.
Well, that's what the Christians like to do, isn't it? Like to ruin all the good and fun times, make it all serious.
So at this point, the processions and the process and the church, the process church of the final judgment was in full effect. Like it had about 30 members in 1966. And Robert and Marianne thought, we got to get out of the UK, got to get out of London. They were disgusted by society.
Disgusted.
And they felt, they were. And they felt like we need to find a sanctuary, a home for our new religion. So they left and they went to Nassau, the Bahamas. They were accompanied by 6 Alsatian dogs. They always had Alsatian dogs,
I love this
which,
couple. I want to
yeah,
grow
they
up to
always
be
did.
them.
A lot of the Alsatians were black Alsatian dogs,
My
which is one of my
dream
favorite
dog.
breeds of dog.
That's
Yeah,
my
amazing
dream
animals.
dog. I'm gonna get one. Maybe I'm gonna name it after the process.
Yeah, they also said there are other things that they had acquired from members were an $80,000 yacht, first class cruise to Turkey and Asia. So there were fringe benefits from, leading the cult here. But yeah, members, to be more like their leaders, would also acquire Alsatians. So it was like this cult where everyone had
Alsatians.
Alsatians.
I love
Yeah.
it. It's like a dog club, but you're all, worshipping Satan in your spare time. I'm down for
Well,
this. Sign me up.
remember their reverence for animals, Alsatians in particular, because they'll come full circle a little bit later. So they went to Nassau. They're there for about 3 months. Didn't really work out. Wasn't the place that they had imagined, that they had visualized.
You know why it's
So
too hot?
that could have been. Maybe it was the water pigs. They have pigs that swim in water.
That's adorable, but it's too hot there.
Wild pigs swimming in water. I don't know. It freaked me out.
I think all
So
pigs can swim, can they not?
yeah, but these pigs do it on purpose. They're just like cruising around in herds swimming there. Have you ever seen that?
I have seen that and it's adorable. I'm for that, but I'm not for the blazing hot sun every day, especially when you're trying to wear a cloak, you're wearing a lot of heavy jewelry. It can't be done.
Well, I don't know if that was their concern, because then they next went to Mexico City, which is also pretty fucking hot. So they went to Mexico City, and while they were there, they're like, someone suggested just hire a bus and go down the Yucatan coast. You'll find a perfect place. And so near Seesaw, Mexico, central Mexico, they found Stuhl, which is Stuhl, which my sister
I'm
and Jer
sorry.
seem to find frequently, and they celebrate.
They're in the cult of Stuhl.
It's XTUL. It's a place of ruins. It's near the beach, and it actually means terminus or the end in Mayan. But for the process, this is the start of everything. So Robert thought it was paradise. So did Marianne. They lived on fruit, fish, swimming, making love, having group sexual encounters, orgies. This is like the dream, the wet dream of any person who's trying to like find themselves in the 60s, like of self-discovery in the 60s. It's like, I'm living in paradise, living in a veritable Garden of Eden, having orgies, hanging out. Sure, I'm wearing the black cloak with a little swastika like symbol, but that's cool.
Yeah,
Having
I can take it
orgies.
off. Eat
Got my
some fish.
Alsatians.
It's all fun times here, people. For
It had a
now.
profound effect on Robert, and he started beginning to identify with Jesus Christ.
Oh
Felt he had
no.
powers like Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, it's pretty common for most cult leaders. But then disaster hit. A hurricane pummeled the entire area for 3 days, like 200-mile-per-hour winds, flattened all the shelters. No one was injured from it severely. Like no one died or anything. But it was a rite of passage for de Grimston. He saw the true nature of the universe. They had met the twin gods of love and violence, like right in front of him. He saw this. So now we saw how God, nature, combined love and violence, which he took to mean as a symbol to represent God, Satan, Lucifer. So Satan, there's one side of Satan. There's also Lucifer, the bringer of light, Satan, evil. But it was like Satan, Lucifer, and God became one. And then he kind of had this, like, I would almost say he probably was on a lot of psychedelics, being that everybody was. So he had this out of body experience where he contacted 3 entities: Jehovah, Lucifer, and Satan, the 3 great gods of the universe. Very similar to Moses and a certain burning bush.
Okay.
He saw a burning bush that was speaking to him. Well, de Grimston here,
I'd much rather speak to Lucifer than a burning bush. Just putting it out
he
there.
had God, Lucifer, and Satan, the
Oh,
great gods of the universe.
yeah, I want Satan and Lucifer. God can fuck off. Gonna have some fun time.
Well,
Lucifer and Satan.
this was the foundation of his procession theology. Now he wanted, there it is, Lucifer, Jehovah, Satan, the game of gods, 3 paths. Which path do you follow? And this is basically the foundation of the entire theology. He claims that there's 4 forms of deity: Jehovah, Lucifer, Christ, and Satan. And members are asked to identify with one of their God patterns. Like you have to look inside yourself and find out what God pattern. Are you Jehovah's Christian? Are you Jehovah's Satanic? Are you Luciferian Christian? Or are you Luciferian Satanic? So he kind of subverted the Judeo-Christian archetypes here. And
Right.
I mean, it's fairly common. Like you look at like any cult leader, takes these existing archetypes. I mean, Christianity kind of did it. They borrowed from like the Old Testament, borrowed from Islam.
Charles
I would
Manson
say
did it. He was
the
both
Babylonians. Yeah, I mean,
Satan and Jesus.
exactly. I think they put their own spin, developed their own Gnostic philosophy, and that's what he did with the Protestant Church. He said, the three great gods represent universal forces, but spiritual currents in the human soul. Jehovah, God of discipline and righteousness, also God of war. Think of holy wars. Lucifer, God of love and light, and a sensualist. So sex is under his purview, the ultimate act of love and life, self-indulgence, sensuality. Satan, God of darkness, magic, and transcendence.
Nice.
Satanic violence, lust, and disorder. And then there's Christ, the emissary to the other gods, transcendental love. He's believed to come a second time to the end of times. So you found something. Did you have a quote about enmity that you found in which book is this?
Let me find the quote first.
So there's the four God patterns.
Yeah, this is a book from Jack Sargent, who's a great author. I've got a lot of his book, and it's called Death Cults. And so this is an enmity, which I can never say. So forgive me. Forgive me, Satan. Christ said, love thine enemy. Christ's enemy was Satan, and Satan's enemy was Christ. Through love, enmity is destroyed. Through love, Christ and Satan have destroyed their enmity and come together for the end. Christ to judge, Satan to execute judgment.
And that kind of plays into effect with Roberts, de Grimson's philosophy here, because ultimately the Protestant Church was an apocalyptic religion. So everybody who wasn't in the process, who wasn't a member, who didn't identify with one of these, key God patterns, were called grays. So that was everyone else who's characterized by compromise, conformity, mediocrity. De Grimson said, John Gray hides from himself, his own intensity of feeling. He's wrapped himself in a cocoon of compromise and mediocrity. People like him will burn in the purging fires of the last days.
Manson 100% stole that. Anyone who didn't get into his pit, you're all dead.
Well,
the family living in the pit, safe.
The similarities between the two are kind of just uncanny. It really is. You'll see in a bit. So the goal of the Protestant Church was to wake up humanity, to get everybody to wake them up before the apocalypse came to pass, because the majority of humankind.
To wake them up inside and to save them.
Exactly, because the majority of humankind was lost. They're gray. They're in a day-to-day doldrums of daily existence, in their cocoon of compromise and conformity. But what they want to do is they want to wake people up. So here's Balfour Place. So they left Mexico, went back to London, went back to Balfour Place. This is the mansion that they owned, and this kind of became the focal point of the process. And so when they went back to Balfour Place, this would have been like around 67, maybe. They opened a 24-hour macabre-styled coffee shop called Satan's Cavern. How cool is that?
I would have been at this place all the time.
In London. Oh, a lot of cool people were hanging out there. I'll get to that in a minute. But it became the focal point for public events. These events included performances, debates, film screenings, and more. What a former Process member in the documentary Sympathy for the Devil that just recently came out was talking about Process events, and he said, yeah, I mean, there were rituals, there were Sabbath assemblies, a black mass, which kind of shocked the audience. He called it like a cruel piece of religious satire at the time. However, they kind of said the way they described it was Dada meets Aleister Crowley, which just sounds amazing, doesn't it?
Yes, I want to be there right now.
So this is when the group really started becoming, I'd say, a full-on cult. As you can see in this picture, Robert's wearing the Omega symbol because he was an Omega. He was the leader. And everybody's just kind of like his devotees are sitting around cross-legged, just worshiping him, which is obviously feeding his ego.
I
But the
want the
group made a
iron cross.
shift.
Have you seen the coffee table? It's
Oh
got
yeah, there it
the
is.
iron cross. I want that in my house.
Members dressed in black and purple hooded cloaks, emblazoned with the Go-to-Mendes patch or pendants of their peace sign swastika around their neck. Their holy day was Saturday when they held their Sabbath assembly. Sunday was a day of rest. At the Sabbath assembly, there was an altar situated in the center with four candles making out the four compass directions, and members sat around it on cushions in concentric circles. Similar here, you can kind of see it. There's the 4P peace sign, and then there's candles around it. Everybody's kind of sitting in a circle, and there's Robert blessing each person as a part of the Sabbath assembly. But what was strange about it is, they held similar rituals to Christian practices. They had baptisms, marriages, weekly
Okay.
gatherings. Yeah. And baptisms were performed at different elevations of status in the hierarchy of the church. They sang hymns to the four deities during these assemblies. Women as well as men were allowed to be ordained priests. On one wall was a picture of Christ, another the goat of Mendes. Later, they eventually removed the goat. Here's two classic occultists. One's an Omega, one's a regular procession, but they're wearing the cloaks, the black cloaks. You can see the cross with the serpent on it. But the table's amazing. I wonder where all this stuff is, if you can even find this
Do you know what?
anymore.
So these people are all kind of like my parents' age. And this is just shortly before my parents moved to London as well. So like all of these people are probably all like mums and dads somewhere, and they just won't tell their kids what the crazy things I got up
Could you
to.
imagine finding these pictures like in your parents' closet? I'd be like, what the fuck were you guys on back then?
I'd be like, where was this table and where can we get it? I want
I
this
mean,
table.
whatever. It's like I look at some of the, the weird Jewish, rituals and things like that we do. It's not all that far, far from this. They set up a lecture hall and a bookshop. There was an alpha room where they held their Sabbath assemblies, movie theater. Um, they would go out to Hyde Park to preach the apocalypse. Processions would hit the streets asking for donations. They would go around with their cups out trying to sell their magazines. And this picture is interesting. You have a guy in the middle. He's got the probably the purple cape. It's a black and white picture, but sitting next to him is an Omega, who's like a leader. And I think that you eventually kind of would aspire to attain the ranks, elevate through the ranks of much like Scientology, same thing. There's like the different levels depending on how much you donate to the church. I'm sure this was based on the same hierarchical structure, Mary Ann was a fanatical anti-vivisectionist. She loved animals.
Good. Same.
Yeah.
Good on you,
And
Marianne.
cult members were told to say that the money for their donations is going to animal welfare, though majority of it landed in the de Grimson's pockets, Along with he wrote many works, Robert. He was very prolific at the time. Definitely believed in this philosophy of his, was balls deep in it. He wrote a book called The Gods and War, Humanity is the Devil, and another book called As It Is, which kind of became the catchphrase of the cult. As it is, so be it. That
Oh,
was I think there's a picture of him with the
that's
as it is, so be it. It's number 11.
that's very Church of Satan because what is it? Up above, so below.
Yeah, it's simple. You got to have something catchy. There's Robert with "As It Is, So Be It."
He's got a bit of the Vincent Gallo about him too. He's like if Vincent Gallo and like Christopher Walken had a son.
I kind of see that. Um, they would go around in their purple and black capes. They started a magazine called the Process Magazine. The editorial policy favored Hitler, Satan, and gore. They were really into the Nazi chic. Obviously, if you look at their symbolism.
Well, they're war
Um,
babies as well. All
yeah,
these people.
they were. The theme was humanity is doomed. The tide of the end has come. Earth is preparing for the ultimate devastation. The scene is set, so you can come now to join the church and be saved. picture 12, the next one is great because it shows the people with the capes just kind of randomly coming up and talking to people. They do that. Scientologists do that here.
Oh, do they? Do they just
Yeah.
randomly come up and try and get you to go for a free chicken dinner?
No, what they do, they want to try to get you to sign up and get your information and get your books. It's really funny. Like I noticed this in Hollywood, and I've seen it in Glendale. A really attractive girl, like or sometimes two girls, they'll be like standing there, and you don't really. They're just. It's kind of nondescript. They don't have like the Church of Scientology logos and insignias. It's just they're sitting there with books, and they'll come up and be like, "Hi, how are you?" And you start chatting with them, like, "Oh, this girl's hot." You start chatting with them, and then within like, I don't know, 5 minutes, you realize, oh, wait a second. Wait a second. Next thing you know, they're trying to shield their Dianetics books. I imagine this is something similar. It's like you got these weirdos in their black capes cruising around, and they come up to like, hey, do you want to expand your mind? Do you want to help animals? And then they start talking about it. It's like, the humanity's doomed. World's going to end. Join our cult. We have orgies. We have cool capes. We have Alsatians, and you'll be
What's not
safe.
to love? I also must say
Exactly.
that these guys are 100 times cooler than any Scientologist has ever looked.
No, for sure. I love the capes. So they hawked the Process magazines. Show the next picture. This is great. This is the so they became quite prolific with this. Yeah, there's Mick Jagger, Marianne Faithfull. So they started selling these Process magazines. I was actually looking for some of these.
I was about to say, I really want to get on eBay right now and look for some. Did you find any?
I couldn't find any.
Oh.
Yeah, you might be able to find them in the UK though. I bet. I didn't even think about that. But they hawked these magazines on the streets of cool. I mean, this was like when King's Road was cool, late 60s. They would go into the Indica bookshop run by Peter Asher, brother of Paul McCartney's girlfriend, Jane Asher.
Cool.
Yeah, and Pop Chanteuse, Marianne Faithfull appeared on one of the covers of their magazine. I don't know which issue that is, but she later backed away.
On the left?
Yeah. She later backed away from it, saying that there's something almost like fascism about the process. Ooh. Oh, really, Marianne? That's quite insightful of you. Look at their logo. The next picture shows a close-up of the cover. But oh yeah, this is my favorite one. So here's a picture of their sex magazine. You see Lucifer, Jehovah, Satan, and the first story, The Natural Life of Jimmy Savile. I wonder if he was a member.
Oh my God. So this is a quote. The question is, are you moral? And this is Jimmy Savile saying, I would say that I am highly moral during the day and even highly moral during the evening. But of course, we won't say anything about nighttime because that is when all real wolves like myself rise from the darkness and leap about, causing mayhem left and right.
Yeah.
With hindsight. Wow. What a quote to find.
There was the fear issue. Paul McCartney was interviewed, and he said that he had no fear of the world ending or anything like that, but did fear itself.
Okay.
Whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
You go to the next pic here. This shows Mick Jagger. Oh yeah, this is the Marianne Faithfull cover.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool picture. Freedom of expression issue. But the next one here, Mind Bending, had Mick Jagger on the cover. Because I think the Process editors were like, oh, Mick's face is going to sell more issues than putting Satan or the goat's head on it.
He will have been sticking Mars bars into Marianne Faithfull at this time. So they probably both just said, oh, it's very cool, darling. Use my picture.
Well, I think that's part of it. I think it was like really hip at this point. Like you had celebrity endorsements. You had these magazines. They're the Balfour Place mansion. They had their like movie screenings. It definitely sounded like something. I mean, to be honest, I probably would have checked that out. Sounded kind of cool. But as soon as they start coming out with the dogma and the teachings and the self-help stuff, I'd be like, yeah,
I'm leaving.
You know what I think the first thing is for me? It's like as soon as they start asking for money, I'm just like, you do know I'm Jewish, yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm tight. I'd be like, I'm out. Can I play with your dogs though? Bye.
So as they were, growing in popularity, the De Grimsons withdrew from the outer world. They started occupying a zone of secrecy and exclusion, penetrated only by the oldest members. So they started calling themselves the Omega. So the Omega were the elite within the process. Everybody else were processions. And they had fused into a single psychic entity. So Robert, there it is. There's a difference. An Omega is on the left with that like kind of, I don't know what's that
It's a
symbol,
smock.
the Omega
Oh,
symbol.
that
Yeah,
they're
and then
wearing
the other person's a
on the
procession.
smocks.
In the background, the go to Mendes. Um, but yeah, so Robert started having his long hair, his beard made him start looking like Christ. He would still show up at lectures where he would, preach and give sermons and things like that. But Marianne rarely seen by any lower ranking members.
Oh,
Yeah.
mysterious.
The hierarchical structure of like processions and neophytes and priests and brothers strictly enforced. And the secret rituals of the Omega were a matter of speculation among new devotees. No one would you'd never even any interaction with an Omega. And so for people who are new to the process, to even encounter Marianne was a bit of a devastating experience. It was shocking because she was kind of totalitarian. Like she ran everything with an iron fist. She imposed a strict sexual abstinence on any new member, although the Omegas, they could do whatever they wanted.
Yeah.
Robert was advised to release the fiend that lies within you, he would say to the young neophytes. And people claim that also included bestiality. I don't know, maybe.
No, I think if she's such an animal lover, I think bestiality is the total opposite. But
Well, I think with Marianne, but I don't know about Robert.
I don't know. I'm all for releasing the fiend, though. I'm all down for that.
That's your motto. The communal life of the church members is strictly regulated. Sex and the use of drugs and alcohol, with the exception of caffeine and nicotine, is strictly rationed. These practices were a distraction from their spiritual work. Unlike other satanic groups that were active during the period, because if you think about it, they are pretty connected to Satanism, and the Church of Satan that was going on at that time, you'd think would be similar. But they didn't practice magic. They were very opposed to magic. They're also opposed to vivisection, like animal sacrifices and things like that. So it was around this time, like late 60s, they spread to the United States. They had churches in New York and Boston, New Orleans, Los Angeles, San Francisco. They had a couple churches throughout Europe too, Germany.
Wow.
Yeah. In 1968 in San Francisco, Robert de Grimson met Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan. But LaVey steadfastly refused to recognize the process as a Satanist organization. LaVey was probably like, I'm the official grifter for Satan here, not you, Grimston.
Yeah, it's me. I'm the daddy.
Yeah, I bet they were bitter rivals, don't you think?
Oh, I bet they were. Anton LaVey just in the background playing his Hammond organ really angrily, just going, fuck the process. Yeah.
And I bet you LaVey probably had better looking witches anyway, Jane Mansfield.
Well, Susan Atkins from The Family.
Now we're going to get to the connection here between the process and Charles Manson. A lot of rumors circulating about the relationship between Manson and the church.
You don't say.
So in 1968, when they moved to San Francisco, they set up a church at 407 Cole Street, Upper Haight area. Their neighbor at 636 Cole was someone who's going to cause them a lot of service in about a year or so, but none other than Charlie Manson, head of the Manson family. Yeah, I live right down the street from them. Yeah, I don't know if like he baked him a casserole or something. I don't know if that happened, but this is like, this is around 1968. At that time, Manson wasn't, the head of the family. Were the most like, famous, infamous cult leaders alive after the Tate LaBianca murders. So before that, so he was still kind of like what, ex-con, drug dealer, petty thief, hippie.
Well, that's all he ever has been.
Acoustic guitar music in Golden Gate Park. But just a year later, he's going to be, a year later, he's going to be one of the most famous cult leaders of them all. But for the process, he definitely affected the future of that organization.
Oh.
And now there's a book that came out that you're familiar with, written by Ed Sanders, who is a singer-songwriter of the Fugs. He published a book called The Family, A History of Charles Manson and His Cult. There it is. The story of Charles Manson's Dune Buggy Attack Battalion, here by Ed Sanders. So Ed Sanders was very upset about how the innocence of the 60s, the hippie movement, had given away to bad drugs, maniacal gurus, violent murder, is what happened here. And I think the Tate LaBianca killings are the final blow. It started out all you need is love and hippies and tie-dye. It ends here with helter skelter scrawled in a pregnant woman's blood on the door.
Yeah.
Um, death to pigs. So his answer, why did this happen? Sanders claims it was the process. It was the process who's behind all this. Even though there's no definitive evidence that Charlie was ever a member of the Process Church, but there are definitely connections between the two.
Oh,
and I would say
completely.
that Charlie borrowed heavily from their ideals, their philosophies. I
He
would say.
did. Yeah.
Sanders claimed the process more or less taught Charlie everything he knew. Both Charlie and the Grimsons were into Scientology at one point. 1968, Charlie sent a family member named Bruce Davis to visit Process headquarters in London. And while there, Davis also had a brief stint with Scientology. Later on, two processians visited Manson in jail. Manson contributed to a stream of whatever unconsciousness prattle that he usually does for the Process's death issue. They publish it. He contributed to it. De Grimson wrote of Satan and Christ, the union coming together. That was just another name for Charlie. The Process was, I would say, more than keen on Nazis. They liked the fashion. They liked the symbolism. Well, who had a swastika carved in his forehead?
Who do you think?
Yeah,
Charlie.
Both Charlie and Robert were big on fear. For Charlie, feeling the fear meant total awareness. For Grimson, only after we do that which we are afraid to do can we be saved, face the apocalypse. Processions wore black capes. The family dressed in black when it,
Creepy
committed their
crawly.
murders. Yeah. The Process saw biker gangs like the Hells Angels as the shock troops of the coming Armageddon.
Straight Satan's part of the family.
Manson ingratiated himself with several gangs: Straight Satan, Satan slaves, Jokers out of hell. The in members, like the people who were, in the secret groups, the close knit groups, and of the Process, referred to themselves as the family. And both Manson's family and the Process preached, apocalypse. It was an apocalyptic belief system. Sanders hated the Processians. He denounced them as hooded snuffleoids, a black cape, black garb, death worshipping church.
Stop making it sound cool, Ed.
Yeah, I know. He's making it sound kind of cool. He said that the De Grimsons were basically cult leaders, leading a cult. He also kind of had a lot of loose theories about how, they were connected to the Solar Lodge. They were connected to weird ritual mutilations, animal sacrifices, affiliated with a group in the Santa Cruz Mountains called the group the Four Pi.
Have you read this
book?
book?
Substantiated though.
I've read this book.
Excerpts from it.
I own this book. I would just say out of there's so many books about the Manson family out there, loads. I would say this is definitely more on the wackadoo side of things. It's just he's obviously friends with a lot of the family members too, so it's good for that. They'll say something super interesting and then he'll be like, remember that time in 62? You'd be like, no, go back and ask why Bruce Davis was murdering people in London. I want to know more about that.
I think he was writing a sensationalistic novel. I think that's what he's trying to cash in on.
Completely.
The sensationalism of the crimes and trying to make sense of this old hippie trying to make sense of what happened. And where we're at the time. Well, the Process was pissed off.
Naturally.
They were not happy about that book whatsoever. They lodged a $1.5 million libel suit against Sanders and the publishers, and a $1.25 million suit against a series of magazine articles that Sanders had written. And they ended up settling out of court with them. So, I mean, there's
some, they had some good lawyers.
They ended up having to publish later editions with disclaimers about the process. Doesn't matter what happens, or the aftermath of it. The damage had been done. Now the process was inextricably associated with Charlie Manson.
Forever.
Yeah, there's nothing you could do about it. It's like now it's it's connected. There's a nexus here between Manson and the Process Church, and that just completely just sullied their reputation if they even had one. But the claims are all unfounded. There is no link or anything that was ever officially established between the Process and Manson family, or the Process and David Berkowitz, son of Sam, which I'm going to get to in a minute. However, during the trial, Vincent Bugliosi, the prosecutor of the Manson trial, suggested in his book Helter Skelter that Manson borrowed really heavily from the philosophy of the Process Church.
He even went and interviewed process
Yeah.
members for the trial.
Police investigating the Tate LaBianca murders, which were carried out by the members of the Manson family, they thought there was a connection between Manson and the Process Church. And when they asked Manson if he knew Robert de Grimston, he responded, "You're looking at him. Moore and I are the one and the same." Of course, he said a lot of insane stuff. But you know what? Another theory here that a lot of the Process Process magazine editors, Malachi McCormick, I love the guy's name's Malachi. He claimed that the Church of Scientology spread the rumor that that the Process Church and Manson were connected because Hubbard and a lot of those members claimed that they stole the precepts of Scientology for their own process religion. So
see, I can understand that angle.
I can see that. I mean, I think it's it's pretty. The Scientologists are a nefarious group. I wouldn't say this is beyond their area of expertise here. It's interesting too that in urban myth, maybe this was spread by the Scientologists as well. Process Church came to be associated with ritual murders of animals, which is odd because Marianne was such a avid enthusiast for animal rights. But rumors spread that a number of Alsatians had been sacrificed around San Francisco, and they claim this is part of the Process Church, who owned all these Alsatians.
Yeah,
but there's no.
Why would they kill their babies? They're not going to kill their Alsatians.
Well, I think now they're the boogeyman. They're wearing their black capes and they're associated with Manson. There's just this horrible murder of Sharon Tate. And they claim that Charlie Manson was a member of the Process Church. Who knows, how rumors are circulating? But now they're the boogeyman. And then there's this whole Son of Sam connection, which is also even more spurious, which is pretty strange. So they claim that the Process Church morphed into an international cult network of violent Satan worshipers, and that Son of Sam, David Berkowitz, was one himself. So it's there he is. There's David Berkowitz.
Davey B had no time to be joining. He didn't even have the mental capacity to be joining a cult. Davey B likes to drive and not go to work. That was his pleasures and hobbies in life.
Yeah, you showed me a picture of his apartment. Ugh, just a mattress on the ground.
Yeah.
August 1977, he was arrested for terrorizing New York City with a series of fatal shootings. He sent a letter to New York Post columnist Steve Dunleavy that said, "When I kill, I really save many lives. You'll understand later. People want my blood, but they don't want to listen to what I have to say. There are other sons out there. God help the world." So that was something where people said he couldn't have committed all these murders, this spree of mass shootings by himself. And there's a book called The Ultimate Evil, written in 1987 by Maury Terry, which is an investigation into America's most dangerous satanic cult, with new evidence linking Charlie Manson and the Son of Sam. And he claims that this is what his connection here is that Michael Carr, the eldest child of Berkowitz's landlord Sam Carr, was a member of the Process Church. And Michael Carr took David Berkowitz to a Process Church meeting in the woods of a nearby park. And it was there that Berkowitz became a member of the Process Church and became ingratiated to their rituals and satanic, services and all that. He claims that the Westchester chapter of the Children, which is a subgroup of the Process Church, committed arson, animal sacrifices, and spree shootings throughout New York to terrorize New York. Just this evil organization, like almost a terroristic organization. And what's odd about it is his proof here is that police artists had sketches of the Son of Sam shooter. None really resembled Berkowitz as much, but they looked a lot like John Carr. And there were sketches of Michael's brother, Both Cars actually, Michael and John Carr. Actually, the next picture is of John Carr, and he does kind of look like him, which makes it seem like maybe there were three. There's John Carr, and that's one brother, and then there's the other brother as well. Kind of looks like a bit like Phil Lynn from PLO a bit, but yeah. So anyway, um, he claimed that there was more than one shooter, and maybe it was the three of them. Maybe they were being ordered by the process church. Maybe it was a pact with the devil, and they're soldiers of Satan. Maybe that's what the process was indoctrinating these people with.
The same people who think these cockamamie theories are the same people who are like, Albo de Salvo couldn't have done it all by himself. It's like, yeah, usually the simplest answer is the correct. This is like way too convoluted, and like, yeah, he kind of looks like that, but come on, that could be Lou Reed in that picture too.
Well, former decorated new NYPD detectives Jim Rothstein and Michael Cordella say that the Process Church enacted the entire campaign. They had ties with biker gangs. They were doing human trafficking, running drugs, and they claimed that one of their trusted underworld contacts said they saw David Berkowitz at a process gathering.
Oh, yeah, I bet they did.
All of it's unfounded. But regardless of the association with David Berkowitz and Charlie Manson, it didn't bode well for the Process Church, and it all went downhill. 1968, the House of Commons enacted a policy to restrict the growth of Scientology. The process was hit by this because American recruits weren't allowed into England to be in the church. They were still allowed to exist, but they weren't allowed to start actively recruiting anymore. And so de Grimston was sending his flock to England, trying to, get the mercy of the public, saying that, hey, we're not satanic. We're actually here for you. We're helping you. But at this point now, how many cults were there? It's a glut of cults.
Yeah.
It's like people are over cults at this point. And when they saw the processions come in there, their black capes and their weird, 4P crosses, people are like, are you guys devil worshippers? And so now they're like, okay, I think we're going to have to take a few steps back from the whole Satan thing. So they lost the black capes, the inverted pentagrams. Yeah.
No. All the fun stuff.
They took a few steps back from it. They started trying to get into more of a new agey type thing, offering classes on astrology, ESP, tarot, astral traveling. They wore gray leisure suits.
Oh, no.
Yeah. and like blue capes.
Well, they can have Nike trainers now. Oh, I don't like it anymore. I'm out this cult.
But the final nail, this is what ended the Process Church, is when the Omegas split. Robert and Marianne.
Oh, no. After how many years together?
1974, 60, probably about 15 years.
Oh, bless
so
him.
Robert had been plagued by sexual inhibitions throughout his life. He told Marianne it was time for him to act on his sexual desires. He wanted a nubile young female procession to join their bed.
Oh, it's so typical.
Marianne said, hell no.
Yeah, of course she
was
did.
Not down. She completely refused. They also disagreed on the direction of the church itself. Marianne thought they should kind of just drop the whole satanic thing. That phase is over. We're now Christian. Let's just adopt Christianity. Robert's like, no way. This is a satanic church. And that's what we're going to do. I'm not getting rid of that goat's head. We're not going to do that.
I want my girl. I want the goat. And I want my gray leisure suit.
We're going to have threesomes. I'm going to wear a leisure suit. And we're going to be worshiping Satan, okay? Lucifer is key. High-ranking processions decided that the problem was with Robert's vision, that if the process was going to survive, they need to get rid of Satan. So they ousted him. He got booted.
Satan got booted out the party. What is this, like the Last Supper with Judas all over again?
Yeah, he was betrayed. Marianne renamed the cult the Foundation Church. And it became kind of like an Orthodox Christian church. All references to Satan, Lucifer were completely erased. She was a weird person. She kind of used the name Hecate
in
her pursuit of power. That was like one of her pseudonyms. But she was definitely, the puppet master here. It was the process was a matriarchal cult. She led it. It was like she was the secretive, charismatic woman behind the scenes operating the whole show.
Pull the strings.
And what's
To
interesting in the
quote Bella.
documentary that came out, process members speak very fondly of her, not of Robert, but definitely of her. They respected her.
Well, I suppose if she was not going to be around them as often, there was probably more excitement when she did come and interact with them. Whereas, they're going to know Robert every day on a personal level. Like they're probably, going to smell his
Yeah.
farts, to put
I think
it
it's the
bluntly.
mystery.
Yeah. Whereas she's a mysterious character coming in with like her dogs, and it's like she's calling herself Hecate today. You'd always be impressed by that.
De Grimston here was defeated, broken man, abandoned by Marianne, abandoned by his cult. And the final end came in 1975. He started to try to, pick up the process and keep his like satanic vision alive. He's wearing his like 4 Ps and his cape, but people just weren't that into it anymore at this point. They're kind of done with him. And so, oh, we're not quite there yet. That almost. He said he was in Boston Common. A few dedicated believers, his new paramour. He ended up hooking up with that nubile young procession. He suddenly stopped. It's almost like he had an epiphany and said, "We're going to leave you now, okay?" And he walked with his partner across the common into the land of the gray. No one knows what happened to him. He's still alive. They say the last report said he found work with an American telephone company, but no one knows what happened to him.
It's very like They Live, and he became one of them.
Yeah, he became a gray. Marianne, however, kept the church going for a bit of time. She dropped out of sight. They said in the 70s she had an occult bookshop in Toledo.
Nice.
She was operating under the name Circe at that point.
Oh my God, can this woman get any cooler? I wanted to be my mother.
And then eventually she just kind of disappeared. No one knew what happened. And then she reappeared. This is probably around like the early 90s in Kanab, Utah. And the Process Church became a animal sanctuary. It sort of like completely did a 180 here and transformed into the Best Friends Animal Society. There you go. And you look at the symbol. It's kind of a weird symbol, but who knows? I don't know.
It makes
sense.
Satanic. Can you not see? It's like two people holding each other, but it's also a dog's face. Can you not see that? I think it's a very good graphic design.
That.
Yeah,
I think it's pretty cool too.
It's very clever.
It's an animal welfare organization based in Kanab, Utah. And if you think about it, there's multiple German shepherds, Alsatians on the property. The next picture is a girl with the dog here holding it. If you think about it, maybe in the end, the processions were just devoted dog lovers. They said that they would have therapeutic counseling sessions, not unlike the Scientology-derived techniques that you did with the e-meters and all that, with dogs. I mean, they were modified to be with the dogs, but they love dogs.
Well, animal therapy,
a dog-loving cult,
is a thing now. Animal therapy is a thing, and having what do they call it when you can have your pets and they come with you and they can
emotional support animals. Yeah,
they've got emotional support animals now, so maybe they were just very ahead of their time in that way.
Well, what's great about this is like obviously they're devoted to the welfare of the animals, a sanctuary to help the animals. So a lot of these were strays, and then they now can live on this like wilderness in Utah and have good lives.
It's kind of go to this sanctuary. I want to see if there might be descendants from those Alsatians, because I bet they bred them and had families and gave them all cool names like Hecate.
MacLean died in Utah in 2005. And as far as people know, De Grimston, Robert, still alive. No one really knows.
Wow.
Now, the Process Church, though, has played quite a role in pop culture. I mean, as I mentioned, there's a recent documentary that came out on Netflix. You can go check it out. Directed by Neil Edwards. He interviewed multiple Process members, as well as George Clinton, Genesis P.R., John Waters. A documentary is called Sympathy for the Devil, the true story of the Process Church and the Final Judgment. Here is a picture from the documentary is George Clinton from Funkadelic is talking about this album, America Eats Its Young, which has a lot of process imagery in it. Also, Maggot Brain had a lot of process references in the liner notes. I love this album, actually. It's an amazing record. Not quite yet at this one yet, but yeah. So there's Psychic TV. Genesis George, although she was never a member of the Process Church, she references them. They had the Psychic Bible. Skinny Puppy released a concept album called The Process based on the group. The hardcore band Integrity, I guess, had a lot of Process Church references in their albums. Their album Humanity is the Devil, which is a name taken from one of the Process's articles. We're going to end the show with Sabbath Assembly, but which is a psychedelic rock band, a cult rock band that restored the Process Church hymns. We're going to end the show with one of those.
Amazing.
People say there's a theory that Blue Oyster Cult album Secret Treaties, Agents of Fortune, and in particular the band's heavy metal anthem Don't Fear the Reaper, are all Process Church cryptographies that foretold and perhaps even instructed the Son of Sam murders.
I'm going to believe that conspiracy theory. This is one I will believe, and I'm going to start talking about this in the pub at the weekend.
There's also a few books. William S. Bainbridge, in 1978, wrote a book called Satan's Power, a deviant psychotherapy cult about the Process Church. And Timothy Wiley, who was a ex-member, wrote a book called Love, Sex, Fear, and Death, the inside story of the Process Church of the Final Judgment. He is actually in the documentary itself. But interesting cult. If you show the last picture, this is kind of I like this picture because it sort of shows a cult member surrounded by all the visions and philosophies and the people of the cult.
And the doggies at the bottom.
And the dogs.
Yeah.
There they are. There's the German Shepherds at the bottom.
This is total Manson family.
Well, that's the thing.
Any of the girls would have crafted this.
I don't think you have to suspend disbelief to think that Manson borrowed heavily from this cult. I don't think Manson was that creative, like a creative genius. I mean, sure,
definitely
good-looking guy, charismatic dude, but I think he just ripped this cult off.
I think he ripped off a lot of things, but all of this is so family.
And I think they ripped off the Scientologists and added their own little spin to it, I mean, but at the same time, I could see Manson being into it. They had black capes, swastika-like symbols, orgies with hot chicks, celebrities on their magazine. I mean, he wanted to be a rock star. Drugs, all the successful ingredients of a cult there. So
was Balfour Place? Did you look it up and see if it's still there?
I didn't actually look it up. I wonder if it's still there. I don't think the coffee shop's still there anymore.
Well, no, obviously not. But I bet.
But I'd love to bring that back. That would be great.
Yeah, it would be.
Satan's Cavern. Nice. Anyway, people, this is episode 803 here is Sick and Wrong. We got some entertaining phone calls come up next. A couple that I've been holding out on.
Excellent.
I've been wanting to play. Before we get to that, here's an ad about the Sick and Wrong Patreon page. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I'm going to look up that Belfast Place right
now.
Yeah,
look it up. Actually, I'm interested to see if it's even there.
Somebody's been wilding on the comments while you've been talking.
What have they been saying?
About how this is
crazy?
Like the 10th time you've done this topic or something like that. Oh, they also said that no new episodes will ever be as good as the old episodes.
When have we covered this?
I don't know. Never.
I can't recall covering the process.
House prices it's a square. So let me see if I do Belfast Place, the process.
I like this, Kara. How do I sign up to this cult?
Same.
Oh my God, this guy multi-twat, man. I like that. Set up a Sick and Wrong Discord process.
Okay, so you want to know how much houses are going for in Belfast Place, Mayfair, W1. This is just a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, 1 reception house. Are you ready for this number, D? 5,250,000. 5 million.
5 million for a 2-bedroom?
I'm always bad at reading out big numbers. Yeah, 2 beds, 2 baths, 1 reception. So that's a private Mayfair location, a large private patio garden, 2 bedrooms, high ceilings, and your moments from Hyde Park, darling, where they all get on their soapboxes and shout at you as you walk past. So it's not even a house. You're getting an apartment.
Wow.
They will have had a whole
crazy.
fucking building by the looks of it. Because all those pictures, I suppose all those pictures were just in one room, but they definitely had a coffee shop. So maybe they had a ground floor lease. But they've massacred this building. What have they done to my boy?
Well, I wonder, I mean, God, I wonder if they still owned it and that dude sold it to them. but then sold it to the church, or didn't even sell it to the church, donated it to the church, and then they sold it for I don't know how many millions.
That would be crazy. Oh, in 1991, the house was converted into 6 flats. Yeah, this is the same place. So there's currently a flat in this building up for sale right now. But when they had it, they had the whole property. The press called it Satan's Cave. But in 2014, all of it was listed for sale at 45 million. And it has 19 bedrooms, 6 kitchens, and 17 bedrooms. British banker Peter Cruddas and his wife Fiona, they paid 42 million in cash for the 7-story mansion.
$42 million in cash. What
in
year
cash. That was 2014.
God, that's crazy.
Imagine having 42 million just in cash.
I don't know. So Kate watched Suicide Squad today. What do you think there, Kate? Did I watch it? The new Suicide Squad 2.
No, I don't think anyone should watch it really. The first one is watchable.
You're making James Gunn cry.
I will happily make James Gunn cry. It's just kind of the same old, and it gets very repetitive, but it's very long too. The only thing that's worth it is seeing the half shark man. But even after you've seen him kill a few people, you're like, well, I've seen it all now. Like, boo hoo hoo.
Wait, does he have legs?
He's got the legs of a human, but the torso and thing and arms like a human, but then here is like a shark.
What about his tail?
No, he doesn't have a little tail, but it'd be cute if he did.
So he's got a regular body. Does he look like those what was that TV show with the shark
Street
teenagers?
Sharks.
Yeah, does he look like a street shark?
He kind of basically looks like a street shark. Yeah, he does.
Huh. That's kind of cool. I like that. Why don't they make a movie? Why doesn't James Gunn make a movie about street sharks?
So I was thinking about street sharks lately, and I looked up the theme song because I loved the theme song to it, where they go, "They're Jocelyn." But there's the top comment is when somebody's saying, "When Hollywood runs out of ideas, they will turn to this." That's just
well, but that's my theory on street sharks, and I remember thinking about this. It's like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I think Street Sharks was Canadian, so it was different.
Yeah, but how different is it than Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Because they were more like Hell's Angels, I guess.
Yeah, but they were teens, though, right?
They were rougher, and they also didn't necessarily fight for good. Whereas Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles, they would always fight. Is it Ninja? No,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, we were Ninja. I get confused. But Street Sharks would be bastards. They weren't necessarily being good lads.
Huh. Did the Street Sharks eat pizza?
Everyone eats pizza.
No, but I mean, you know how the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had a fetish for pizza?
I can't remember if they did eat pizza, but they're sharks, so I imagine they probably ate anything. But while we're talking about pizza,
on their pizza,
I wish that real life pizza could ever look as good as cartoon pizza looks. Don't you wish that?
Guess. I mean, cartoon pizza just kind of looks generic.
It just looks amazing. The pizza they have in the Teenage Mutants, it always looks so stringy and fantastic and great. And then we just get pizza, and it's just never like that.
Because it depends on where you get pizza from. You've never been to Little Star in San Francisco or Gino's East in Chicago?
Which was your turtle? I was Raphael.
Oh, who's the one in the nunchucks?
With nunchucks, that was Michelangelo.
Yeah, I like him.
Here's the dude, the surfer dude. Oh no, was he the one with nunchucks? I'm forgetting them all.
Oh wait.
Leonardo had a sword.
Michelangelo had the stick.
That's
Raphael
the kendo stick. Raphael had those little.
The sai. Yeah.
Is that what they're called? So
who's the other one?
Donatello.
All right, then I guess I like Donatello. I thought Donatello actually had the stick, and Michelangelo had the nunchucks.
Oh, right. So apparently the word ninja was not allowed in the UK when TMNT was first released. So that's why I'm thinking it's always been heroes.
Well, you guys didn't have ninja movies in the UK?
We had ninja movies, but I don't know. Hero Turtles.
Well, what about all the ninja?
So I don't know why. Maybe these guys all know because they're all. I'm not saying they're older than me, but they're certainly wiser.
That was such any 80s kid would have loved ninjas and karate and all that. I was so swept up in that. You know, we were talking about this too. Showdown Little Tokyo, but that's like such a wet dream of a karate movie for a kid, but it's so improbable.
Did you know that Donatello, this is from Jesse. Thank you, Jesse, for this fact. Donatello was voiced by Corey Feldman.
No way.
Yes way.
Really?
Yes way.
Who voiced the other ones? Anyone famous?
Yeah, Jesse. Do you know who voiced Raphael? Because I liked Raphael because he was really sarcastic and he never wanted to do anything. He just wanted to stay in. It's like I related to him.
I liked Shredder. I thought he was cool.
Apparently kids weren't allowed to know about ninjas, so that's why I knew them as Hero Turtles and not Ninja Turtles.
Wait, did you know about ninjas in general though? Like ninjas?
Well, yeah, we had Karate Kid. Karate Kid was like my brother was.
Yeah, but that's Karate Kid. I'm talking about like, did you have like American Ninja 3 and all those ninja movies?
American Ninja.
Yeah, that was like a series, and there are a ton of these ninja movies, like Shai Kosugi. People might remember him. He was
I'm waiting for the men's to answer this in the chat because I don't know any of these.
I bet Steele would be like going off about it.
Well, he would go off, but I was too young for that. I think I was too young for Karate Kid. I didn't see Karate Kid till I was older.
Yeah, Sho Kosugi.
Shredder was voiced by Uncle Phil. I knew that.
Revenge of the Ninja, Enter the Ninja, The 9 Lives in the Ninja. It was he was the ninja in all these movies. And then Ninja 3 had the girl from, I think, Flashdance. And it was one of my favorites because like she was like this badass like chick that like would climb up construction poles and fix like your phone lines and all that.
Did you see her titties?
You did see her too. You always saw titties in 80s movies, like, which is how it should be. That's how it should be. The fucking I bet Suicide Squad didn't show a single tit.
Not a single tit. There's even.
Not watching it.
It was just there was way too much. Like there was just too much, and it was 2 hours, and it just got so boring and repetitive towards the end that I just didn't care. And there was one point where I went upstairs. I did something for like 15 minutes, and then I came back down, and I was like, "Oh, they're still at this point? What the fuck?" I was like,
"Sad that no Betty."
No Betty.
No Betty. But yeah, so anyway, Ninja 3, The Domination. Sho Kosugi was like, I don't know, he was killed by like a bunch of bullets or something, and he like died, but he put his spirit, kind of like Child's Play, into the construction worker Flashdance chick. And so she's like sitting there just doing her job. Next thing you know, ninja spirit inside of her. So then she starts going out and just fucking kicking ass with ninja stars and doing all this stuff that she never normally would do.
So about Multi-Twat Man is saying that American Ninja movies, they hold up really well. So you should maybe download them and watch them.
Well, you know, I have not watched Enter the Ninja or Revenge of the Ninja or any of these movies probably since 1984 when I was a kid. I loved them all. And my mom like bought us all these videos. Me and my brother would watch them like on
Don't VHS. You keep your nunchucks next to your bed?
I do have my nunchucks next to my bed, yes. They're in my nightstand. So I could take them out if I needed them.
You're a lethal weapon with
Actually,
them.
I don't know if I have them. They might. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're still in my nightstand.
Didn't Canon made He-Man, Masters of the Universe, as well? Didn't they? Same when the American Ninja movies made by Canon, and was it Frank Canon who made He-Man and the Masters of the Universe? I don't know.
You know, I don't know. Did you guys see the new Kevin Smith He-Man?
It's been trending. I don't think I'm gonna bother.
Well, you don't like animated shows. I watched it.
I don't mind animated shows, but like for me, Masters of the Universe is perfection. Frank Langella as Skeletor.
That's a live action movie.
I know, but I don't want anyone to be Skeletor other than Frank Langella. He's like the best 80s movie villain of all. He's better than anyone else, and I don't want anyone to ever try.
He's great. Frank Langella is great. I'll say that. However, Mark Hamill voices Skeletor, and it's awesome.
Well, he's good, but he's not Frank Langella.
No, but he does it. He does a really good job with it, and it's definitely pretty cool.
No, just no. There's only one room for Skeletor in my heart, and that is Frank Langella.
Have you guys ever seen Black Eagle, which is a ninja movie with Van Damme, which I've never heard of?
What? Is that from the 80s?
Sho Kasuji's in it too.
Can you download that? I'm very partial to a Jean-Claude Van Damme. I always think they're crazy.
I've never heard of this movie before. Maybe I'll have to check it out. Have you seen Death Warrant? That's a classic Van Damme.
No, I haven't seen that.
What? How have you not seen that one? That was yeah.
No, I haven't. I love Universal Soldier though.
He's a maverick detective.
Can you get Universal Soldier? Because I've been watching.
I don't know what you're talking about. Getting these movies, like, what do you mean? Like on Netflix?
Everyone knows we talk about it on the Patreon.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Kate Rambo.
I mean, you buy them and you.
Yes, I could get a membership to Netflix or Hulu or Amazon and watch these movies legally.
And then you send me them. Wink.
No, I think you can get your own movie legally.
Remember in the old DVD days when you'd put it in and it was the movie screen and it'd be like, piracy is a crime. You could go to jail. Yeah. You wouldn't steal a house. You wouldn't steal a car. Stealing a movie is just as bad.
Do you remember tracking?
What's tracking?
When you'd watch a VHS tape and a VCR,
oh, yeah, tracking.
It would just be tracking.
Yeah.
It's so weird. Like I haven't even thought about tracking for a long time.
I still have some because I generally feel that there's some films that are better on VCR than they are on any other format. So I still have my video player and I have some VCRs. I've probably got about like 30 videos. No,
not surprised you're a hoarder.
I'm not a hoarder. There's just some films that are better on video and they will always be better on video. In my heart.
That's part of your hoard.
Are in my heart. Yeah.
Now I have like a box of old, I think I talked about this before, but my roommate in college, like I remember this is like what, mid 90, 94, 95. I started like videotaping The Simpsons just so I could have them
off the telly.
Yeah, off the telly. And my roommate was an engineer and he just went crazy about it. Started cataloging it and like documenting each episode and naming them. And so I stopped because I was just kind of taping random episodes whenever I remembered to do it. And so anyway, when I graduated college, he was like, "You want this collection?" He copied all the tapes he had made. And
wow,
it's like a time capsule of history. Like
have you can still see got all the adverts on and stuff.
All of it. And the beginning of like X-Files episodes that came on after. I don't have a VCR, but I don't have the heart to throw it away.
What you should do is you should transfer them and then upload all those adverts to YouTube, because there are people out there who will be saying to their friends like, "Do you remember the Taco Bell advert in 1993?"
I'm sure you can see all those.
There's loads. No, there'll be loads of stuff where you can't. You should do a service to society, D. Simon.
All right. Well, I got to drain the entertainer and let's play these calls.
What a disgusting way to put it. Yeah, Jamie Lee Curtis in Trading Places. My brothers definitely wore out, that scene. She's like, "That's the only thing that's not free in here." Although she doesn't say it that posh. She's hot. I love Jamie Lee. Although Dee did say that there was a rumor that she was a hermaphrodite, but I don't think she was or is. Well, she can't be. She had children, but hermaphrodites do have kids. But no, she's not. I'm waffling, guys. It's waffle time. It's 8 a.m. beer time. Yeah, I've got like Predator is a film I think is better on a video. Oh, more than 2 taps. What else? Fright Night. Fright Night is way better on video than on anything else. I think Jamie Lee is still fucking hot. I like Jamie Lee as well because she's got a personality and she totally gets her titties from her mum, because Janet Leigh is stacked. You don't realize how stacked she is in Psycho. I don't know. That's the biggest surprise. The scariest thing in Psycho is how Hitchcock managed to tame Janet Leigh's titties and not show them at all, because they're fucking huge. You can see pictures of her and Jamie Lee together and they're just like, they definitely come into the room first. Oh, Dee's getting one of his beers. Not real beers. Yeah, I totally agree. There's a lot of film. Oh, he's got a Foster's. What the fuck? Some films don't cut it in HD, and I wish they would stop doing it. I wish they'd bring back filming on celluloid. Where'd you get the Fosters from?
Got today. Didn't have any fucking Miller Lights. I got some
They sell Fosters in
motherfucking
America.
Fosters. Fuck
I didn't
yeah.
even know they sold it in America.
I think isn't it made by Budweiser?
I was gonna say, read on the side where it's made.
Oh, the nectar of the gods. I don't know. Let's see.
What company is it?
Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh shit, it's really Australian in Fort Worth. Shit, it's like the second Adelaide.
I don't know who makes this. I love how it's like Australia's most famous beer. It's like, yeah, sure. Celebrated worldwide. Although there are a lot of places I've noticed in Europe that have it on tap.
Foster's is like a mate. Every pub here has
like
Foster's
generic.
on tap. Yeah.
I prefer Tennant.
Tennant's all right, but I find it very watery. And if I have like Tennant's, I just know I'm going to be pissing a lot. It's a bit like Budweiser. If I have a Budweiser, I'm going to be pissing a lot.
It's good for you. It's
no,
good to clear everything out.
It means it's mainly water. But I don't mind Tennant's. I don't really ever get hangovers off Tennant's either. Probably because I'm pissing it all away.
I'm a big fan.
Foster's is pish.
Pish. Yeah.
Ooh, Coopers. We don't have Coopers. Do you know what? I love all the Aussie beers, like obviously Castlemaine, but like Victoria VB is like one of my favorites.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
So we got a few phone calls to get to. 323-522-4032 is that number. Keep it under 3 minutes. Tres minutos. Check my Spanish.
More than I can say. Tres minutos.
Anyway, the first call is going to be a trip down memory lane for you, K. Rambo.
Pourquoi?
Drunk Dad's dialing in.
Well, hello there, sick and wrong. This is Mr. Rambo calling.
Mr. Rambo's calling.
Jesus.
I haven't. Yeah, from beyond the grave.
It must be about like
All
10
the way
years.
from
Yeah, it's got to be.
London, England. Catherine, my love, your mum and I are very worried about you. You left the flat this morning without remembering to take your vagina medicine.
Kate, how could you do that?
How could I worry my mum and dad like that so badly?
I know, but how are you going to control the odor?
I don't know.
Without,
I need
without
my
your
medicine.
Did drunk dad, Mr. Rambo, call you Catherine?
Well, no, because I'm not Catherine. I am William Shakespeare's Kate. No middle name.
Oh, it's not short for like KT or Catherine.
No, I'm just William Shakespeare's Kate. He invented my name, Kate Alicious. Yeah, William Shakespeare also invented the name Kate Alicious.
You left it on the counter in the loo. Don't worry, Catherine. Your mom has put your vagina medicine into the post. You shall be relieving it shortly.
Oh, so I guess she's posting it to you. So no worries.
To wherever I am, it'll be okay. Thanks, Dad.
Catherine, we worry about you. Don't be a slag like your gran. Use your vagina medicine. Toodaloo, my dear. Talk to you later.
Ah, he's so thoughtful, drunk dad.
Do you say toodaloo in America?
Oh, yeah, it's very common.
I've not said toodaloo. I'm going to start saying it now. Like, not even like ironically. I'm just going to be like toodaloo.
The origins of British, it's a British term, right?
Of course it is. Could you go anywhere else and say toodle fucking oo? Of course it's
Hiya!
British. Hiya, toodaloo!
Toodaloo. Wow. Well, that was really nice. A trip down memory lane.
I know. Thank you, Dad, for my vagina medicine. Sluttery, slatternly, sluggishness, it all runs in the family, probably from like my great grandmother. We've all inherited the vagina from her.
So was grandma a slag?
Well, technically, aren't all our grandmas slags? Because they're all like shagging their husbands with no protection and getting pregnant. It's a pretty slaggish move, if you ask me, when you could just be swallowing that semen. So,
but, okay, I'm just looking through the matriarchal line of the Rambo women. Who had the most abortions?
Me.
Do you guys brag about that when you had family reunions?
Oh,
How many of you had? Oh, I've had 4. You've had 3. So that. Like, is that common?
Nothing compared to my Auntie Sylvia, who's probably only had sex once, but yet somehow has created the greatest man known to mankind. Oh, that's getting some bitchy. If any
Wait,
of my...
who? Well, your aunt created the greatest man known to mankind.
Oh, if you ask her, she has. If you ask her, there's definitely some like motherly love.
This is your cousin.
Yes, one of my cousins. I have many.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. So do you have like some kind of recognition, like a medal or a certificate for having the most abortions?
Not at the minute. I still have probably some other family members to beat, but I'm working hard at it. Working hard.
Maybe one day I'll give you like a sick and wrong, like bronzed fetus award or something.
That'd be I
like
want
a fetus with a knife in it.
What I'll do is the next time I have an abortion, okay, we'll just do a little cast iron resin polymer thing of the little fetus's feet, and that's what you can make it with.
Oh, okay. That's brilliant. You can
that's a nice little memento before it gets chucked in the incinerator.
Yeah.
I can be like, that was like abortion number 42. Bye-bye.
Well, thank you, Drunk Dad. It's good hearing from you. Yes, this next call is from Chris Siege over in Victoria Island, Canada. I don't know why they sound like that. They don't.
Greetings, D and Kate. Christopher Siege here. Just wanted to call in and talk a little bit about something that happened right across the street from my work this morning. So early this morning at about 7 a.m., I was doing my daily 1 hour stand at the door, enforcing the mask policy / being unpaid muscle.
Doesn't he work at like a grocery store or something?
He does, but can I just also say I loved his radio voice at the start. Greetings. He sounded like a 1950s.
He's got a great radio voice anyway. Actually, I should get him to do more promos for us because he was on, remember he subbed the show with Sick and Wrong like a year ago or so? But he like a great radio voice. Does a podcast himself, that Beast Wars podcast.
He's a busy man.
And so I'm just standing there for however long, pondering all of the choices and mistakes that I've made that have led my life to this moment, working at a grocery store, standing at a door. But I hear...
You know what I would do if I was him? I would get like a stick or something, or actually, you know what? A laser pointer. So when someone came in without a mask, I'd be like, in your face, like, you, sir, with a laser pointer.
Yes, that's very pedantic. It's something I could see you doing.
I could do that. It's like,
I think a stick would be better.
Diaper.
I think
a stick they could say is assault.
Oh yeah, as soon as
you're smacking, poking. Yeah, as soon as you touch them. So I think that should be a laser pointer or like a squirt gun or something.
The Canadians are too polite to do anything like this, other than be very passive aggressive.
Yeah, they'd probably throw like a poutine fry at them or something.
Oh, I want
also assault in Canada.
Like junkie yell out, hey, from across the street. So I look over, and directly across from the front entrance of my workplace was some street person who had clearly slept there last night because he had blankets and a bunch of garbage and shit around him. And there were these two other crackheads trying to wake him up. One was this chick and one was this dude. So the chick was screaming at this guy, trying to wake him up. And the dude was completely unresponsive. And the crackhead guy was pushing on him, trying to wake him up, and dude, completely unresponsive. Guy looked dead, honestly. From
this is so tragic. It's like his war buddy or something. He's like, come on, get up. And
this is such a good way to start the day though if you're at work.
Hey,
I don't have excitements like this in my work, and I work a blue collar job just like Siege.
Yeah, but it's interesting. At least it's something out of the ordinary.
I'd be loving it.
That's kind of what I thought when COVID happened. I was a little excited because I'm like, wow, it's something different than the humdrums of my daily existence,
Angle. And so they keep yelling at him and shaking him, and nothing's happening. And the chick fucks off. And for a brief moment, I start to wonder, I'm like, that guy actually looks kind of dead. Should I should I call an ambulance or something? He probably OD'd. And
I'd just laser point his eyes to see if
as
there's
I say,
any movement.
This is when you really go and get a stick and
you
poke the body with a stick.
I pondered that for a minute and thought, you know what? nah.
Yeah.
But then something like absolutely amazing happens. So the crackhead dude keeps trying to like shake this guy awake, and he's still like not responding at all, not moving. He stands up and fucking kicks the guy, and the guy still doesn't move. So the crackhead like leans down over to the dude's bag and starts sifting through his bag and like pulls out like some money, like a 20 and a couple of fives, and pockets them. And then he like tries to shake the guy awake again, and he still doesn't respond. So the crackhead like goes back to the guy's bag and pulls out a pack of cigarettes, and then he goes to like try and
this is like the guy's life savings, but he doesn't need them anymore, you know.
Well, he's not going to need them where he's going.
That's like a crackhead's 401k plan right there.
He would have wanted him to have them.
Yeah.
him awake again, and the guy like still doesn't move. And so he goes back into the dude's bag and like steals a couple of lighters and like grabs a couple of other things. And I'm watching this just like trying to contain my fucking laughter here. It's like something out of like a mean-spirited comedy. Somebody, a much better human being than I, did end up phoning 911, and an ambulance came, and yeah, you know, guy ended up living. Whatever. Anyway, keep it sick, keep it wrong. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Oh, shit.
The crackhead wasn't even dead.
Your mate's
The dude just rifled through all his belongings, stole his 401k crackhead plan.
That's what you do, though, isn't it? I mean, come on, it's like junkie rules, it's street rules. You're gonna get rolled, aren't you?
Well, you have to be opportunistic if you live on the streets.
Yeah, I mean,
this
that's
is
like
an
a
opportunity.
fortune.
Yeah,
I've never bought crack, but I imagine you can get at least one crack rock for
$20. I think you can get like 4
10?
crack rocks. You just
can
like
get
$5 or
4?
$10. Yeah,
Oh,
probably you get a couple. Yeah,
and he got a packet of cigarettes as well, so he doesn't have to spend money on
a couple
cigarettes.
lighters.
Yeah, like good for
Probably
him.
got a nice pair of gloves. You know,
What
with the
I would
fingers
have
cut
done
off.
if I was Siege, I would have been like, if you know, you always have favorite other colleagues that you work with, don't you? I would have just gone and found like one of my favorite colleagues and been like, hey, come and watch this. Come and watch this with me. And just made them stand and watch it with me.
But would you have gone over there to try to like
No.
give mouth to mouth or CPR?
I would have gone over there with a stick. I wouldn't have even gone over there with a stick because I've been like, shit, if he wakes up and like spits in my direction, that's COVID.
Ugh.
So
I think COVID's the least of your worries.
I also wouldn't have rang an ambulance either. I'd have just been like, I want to see where this plays out. I'm on front door till 1. Okay, guys.
Yeah, I kind of would have wanted to see what was going on too, you know.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
Siege actually put a really funny picture in the Discord recently as well, where it was like trainers and pants, and I think someone's top on top of like a dumpster, and it just looked like the guy had disappeared into the ether. I was like, there must be a homeless problem, to put it bluntly, in Victoria at the minute.
Wait, I don't get it. Trainers and pants were.
It
just
was like all like a hobo's like entire outfit, like just on top.
Where
of,
was
like,
the hobo?
Exactly, D. Where was the hobo?
Is it like a scarecrow?
Like, no, they were just like
scaring other crackheads away from his stuff.
Maybe they didn't want to take his stuff because they were like, that guy's a ghost now and that stuff is haunted. But it was totally like he had just like evaporated. He'd smoked so much crack
Maybe
that he evaporated
or something, you know.
He iced himself.
I don't blame Christopher Siege at all. I don't blame him at all. I think I would have done the same thing. That's entertainment. That's like an hour of your work that you're actually like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's like I actually get to watch something interesting. And
when you see shit like that as well, you talk about it for like weeks after, and you just it puts a pep in your step. It does.
It is kind of funny when you see bums. I remember the first time I ever went to New York City. This is like 1993 when Lower East Side was pretty sketchy. This one bum was like passed out on the ground, and he had like a shopping cart just full of cans. And in New York, it's like, was that 5 cents a can or something? Michigan's like 10 cents a can. Oh, anyway, wow. A bum came over and was just like, I sleep down. I'm going to go take this shopping cart. And he starts taking the shopping cart. And the one guy like gets up and was just like, what the fuck you doing, motherfucker? And he like runs after him, and they start like kind of fighting. And then the one guy like picks up like a bar off the ground, like an iron, like a wrought iron kind of rebar or something, and just like swings at him. And the other guy picks up another like piece of rebar off the ground. And it became like a full-on sword fight. Like bam, bam, and like clinging over a shopping cart full of cans. Instead of anyone stopping it or calling the police or everything, there's no phones to videotape it at that time. But everyone was standing there just like, yeah, get them. Like, and I swear there was someone betting on it. And we were just kind of standing there watching. And yeah, and like at first everyone's like kind of laughing. It was funny until one guy, he hit him. And then he just pummeled his face in with the thing. And then everyone's like, oh, I'm gonna get out of here.
Yeah, now it's murder.
Now it's murder. I think I'm gonna go on with my day. That was fun.
I've always thought about if I was ever like a bum. You know, I was homeless once, but if I was ever a bum in like New York or somewhere, why don't they go south for the winter?
I don't know, maybe make more money in New York. Also, like San Francisco, I used to wonder that too. It's like, why are they here? It's cold and it's wet. It's because you get free methadone, you get free food. You know, it's like maybe in those other cities in Florida or something, they're not as amenable to the homeless.
I bet in Miami they don't give a shit. I bet you can go like I would winter in Miami and then just like flock back up like the birds and then flock back up to New York.
I would get a bindle and I would ride the train cars. That's what I would do. And I'd write songs in a Tom Waits type voice. And who knows what would happen.
Okay, Merle had it. Look to him and
all right,
no
thank
one else.
you. Thank you, Christopher Siege. We have one more call here, and this is from the Swede.
Oh, wow.
Oh, hello, sick and wrong. This is Johnny from Stockholm, Sweden. Another Swede. I'm not affiliated with that other Swede, but I have a story about Thailand too. I went to a bar in Kopan. No, where was it? In Bangkok. Anyway.
He says that Bangkok.
The other Swede. This is Swede too. Do you think they would fight with each other? But no.
Wait, there's two Swedes? This sounds like the same Swede. This is a different Swede?
This is a different Swede. Can you not tell?
Shit. I don't know. The Swedes kind of sound the same.
Oh,
their English voices.
You're just so racist.
When they're speaking English, I'm sure when they're speaking Swedish, they sound different.
And they have different voices. This isn't the Swede. This is a Swede 2. I wonder which part
of another Swede.
Which part of Sweden Swede 2 is from?
I imagine it looks a lot like where Sweden 1's from.
Sweden.
A girl, she asked me if I wanted to have some fun, some sexy fun. I said, yeah, sure. So we went to her house.
Are you sure this is the Swede?
This is not. This is the Swede too. This is like Darth Maul Swede. This is a different
sure?
Swede. I'm 100% sure. The Swede.
Jean-Claude Van Damme. It sounds like Van Damme to me.
Jean-Claude Van Damme is not Swedish. I thought he was Austrian.
I know.
No, he's French. He's Belgium. He's from Belgium. Sorry, he's not French.
His voice, his speaking voice sounds like Van Damme to me.
Do you want to call this guy?
I almost think this might be Jean-Claude.
Do you want to call him Jean-Claude Van Swede?
That would work, but he sounds like Jean-Claude.
Close by with just a small room, really. And she, took my pants and trousers off, everything, and she was sitting on a bed and she went on her knees and she looked at my cock and she looked at me and she said, I do this for my family.
Was his cock malformed? Like, why? I mean, she's obviously seen a lot of cocks, or maybe it was the first time, she's a new, like a neophyte prostitute or something.
I don't think any phrase can make a man harder than I do this for my family.
Speak for yourself. The tears are like Viagra for me.
And I just wasn't so turned on, but she said, she went to put her mouth on my cock and looked again and said, I do this for my family. And I said, no, please stop. Just use your hand, make me finish with your hand, because
I would definitely say you got to stop talking. If this is going to end, if we're going to be able to complete this interaction, you got to stop talking because that would kill it for me. I got to say, Jean-Claude's Asian impression is dead on.
I would like to know how Marshall and Tony would have handled this situation.
I think Marshall Island Tony would have been hard as a rock. That would have been like, that's arousing.
This is Marshall and Tony's dream scenario.
This is like an erotic scenario.
Yeah. Finally, a girl that isn't a slag.
I can't imagine the pain. So I just give her some extra money and I go to bed and I feel like shit. Anyway, keep it sick and wrong, fun. Cheers.
Yeah.
I like the way you ended that. Cheers. Yeah.
I love Swede too. I want more more stories from abroad from both Swedes.
I want to know, is Swede 2?
Mikyok.
Were you in Bangkok alone? Like, were you by yourself, like a sex tourist?
You never go to Bangkok by yourself, do you?
You do when you're like a creepy older European.
What makes you think that Jean-Claude Van Swede is older? Could be
I don't know, but I'm just saying he's probably with his friends and they probably all got hookers. But what I'm saying is, like, there comes a point when you're like over 40 and you go to Bangkok by yourself.
Oh, we all know what you're doing there.
Yeah. Like
you're not doing it for your family.
A couple friends of mine in San Francisco, I'm not going to mention any names, used to go every year by themselves. And he was saying that one of his favorite things about getting a prostitute in Bangkok is so you'd have sex, but afterwards she would cut your toenails, she'd cut your fingernails, she would like warm compress everything. Yeah, so it's like getting a manicure and pedi.
Marshall and Tony say that they look after you. I'm sure he's definitely talked about like soap jobs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they do that. And so it's like, he's like, yeah, it's way better than the US where they just don't give a shit.
You know what Swede 2 should have done? He should have said, show me the picture.
The picture of what?
Of their family. And
of the family?
He should have just got
then he would have came.
Rock fucking hard.
So staring at the picture of her family and then that's a very morbid,
I don't think he's got
a very morbid picture there.
The Swedes know how to look after their kyoks. So I've got no worry there. I just I don't know. She was just trying to get out of a job.
I mean, I don't know. I think if I was in that situation, which I wouldn't be, but if I was, I'd have been like, here's some money. I have to go. Well, I have to go. This is like, you ruined it. You blew it. Or you didn't blow it. You ruined it. Here's a $20. Anyway, people call Sick Wrong Hotline 323-522-4032 if you want to support the show and you want an extra show, because that's kind of how we're doing it now. We get the regular Sick and Wrong show, and then you get a whole extra show on the Patreon. And you sign up for patreon.com/sick and wrong, $5 a month, news stories, phone calls, outtakes. It's a whole extra show. And then on top of that, for a couple bucks more, $5 more, you get the Sick and Wrong news segment. This week we covered a news story on a woman who lactated from her underarm. Yeah, I'm amazed that Kate Rambo said she would drink the milk. I don't know why. I just kind of skipped by it because I didn't even want to know.
Anyway. I was doing it for my family.
And then we also do the bonus Sick and Wrong mini-sode called Sick and Wrong Overkill. And this week it's Manson month. This month is Manson month. And this week, Kate covered the Mendocino witches.
Yeah, fun times.
Yeah, so it's going to be a Manson themed month and the anniversary of the Manson murders. So check it out. Patreon.com/sick and wrong. Support the show. We really do appreciate it. It keeps us going. Also, we got a TeePublic store if you want to get some merch. sickandwrongpodcast.com/shop. Click on the picture of the Pope. Finally, here's Sick and Wrong Song of the Week. So I mentioned before, there's a band called Sabbath Assembly, which was an occult rock band formed around like 2010. with only two people in it. Jex Thoff, who I actually really admire her. Some in the occult. She's kind of like an occult rock artist, been in a bunch of bands. I think she's in a solo band called Jex Thoff. But she in this is like a side project she did with a guy named David Christian. But what they wanted to do was they wanted to play the hymns of the Process Church of the Final Judgment. So they actually got the real, so this is an actual hymn of the Process Church. It's called We Give Our Lives, and it's from their debut LP, Restored to One, which came out in 2010. All the divine forces are mentioned in this one song. Pretty cool. You know, their follow-up record though, which I checked it out today too, because I've heard of them. I have Jeff Stoff's like solo stuff, and it's great, but I actually never had anything but Sabbath Assembly. But I was listening to this one with the hymns. It's kind of cool. But the second one is called Ye Are the Gods, and it's a full-on like recreation of a process mass and sermon and like a service. It's
boring.
It's interesting. Yeah. I couldn't imagine listening. It's something that'd be cool to have. Couldn't imagine listening to it all that much. But
I imagine it was also something better when there's like 30 of you in that room and you're all kind of high.
Yeah, it's probably makes it's probably a little more palatable at that point. Anyway, this song though, We Give Our Lives, is kind of cool, very catchy. So we're on the show here with that. We Give Our Lives by Sabbath Assembly. People, thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with episode 804. Till then, take it sleazy. Bam, bam, bam. Fosters. No, I'm gonna.
D's away again.
Yeah, I'm doing so much fucking traveling.
Oh, boo.
So much traveling.
Oh, look at me with my life.
I talk about it. We kind of pre-recorded next week's show. Interview. I'm not going to say who it's with because it's really cool. Kate actually got this interview.
Yeah, it's an exciting one.
It's someone
for me and you. It was a hero with both.
For me, yeah, totally. It's like a childhood hero, but also like as I got into music, like someone who I actually really do admire musically. But also someone that you would never think we'd interview on the show.
Yeah, it was great.
Completely out of left field. Yeah, but someone who huge influence and just someone I admire. Actually, I really admire. Someone who has contributed to music in a way that's affected other bands that I actually really enjoy. So it's like without she just kind of created this whole pioneer, a musical pioneer, this person. Anyway, we're gonna play that interview next week, but I'm going to fucking back to Michigan to my friend.
Steel.
I'd love to. I don't know if I'm gonna have time, but my friend Kessler, his parents, Kessler died years ago. It was the last time I was in Michigan. It was in 2011 when he died. I hate Michigan. I fucking hate it. But anyway, I'm going back there because his parents, who are definitely older these days, it's their 50th anniversary. So I'm going to go hang out with them. So it'll be cool. It'll be fun. I haven't been to Michigan in a long time. Get to see my old roommate from college. That'd be kind of cool. Oh, Warwick's name Kylie Minogue?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That'd be funny. I told you about seeing her live.
Yeah, Kylie's pretty cool though. I like Kylie.
Oh God, the music was so terrible.
No, I don't like her music, but I like her as a person. I think she's like spot on.
I gotta say, she looked like a fucking alien. So much plastic surgery, and like I would say, she weighed 70 pounds.
Well, she's tiny though. She's like at least 5 foot, I think.
And like they had. When we were backstage because Sleazy E knew her manager or whatever that put on the show. So we were backstage and it was like all the dudes that are her backup dancers and Perez Hilton and one of the guys from the Black Eyed Peas. Yeah. And we were sitting there and like just a ton of food, like a whole buffet of really good food. She came in, she had like 2 stalks of celery, like 2 tiny little celery pieces, a carrot, and a Diet Coke. And that's like a meal. That's like probably 3 days worth of food for her.
Yeah, Nick Cave did work with Kylie. And Kylie, if you watch like that Michael Hutchence documentary that came out a couple of years back, her bit in that is the best bit.
I just remember being like, it's kind of cool to go backstage and whatever. We see all that stuff and and it was at the Fox Theater in Detroit. But anyway, when the show was on, we were watching it like from like the middle booth, the soundboard, and it was probably one of the gayest shows I've ever seen.
Do you know what? She knows her audience. I like
oh my
that
God.
about her. She
especially in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
It was like Kylie doing this because I didn't really know any of her music. I think Can't Get You Out of My Head.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of her songs.
That's a good one.
But she's sitting there like doing her songs, and then there's like these massive video screens of just men showering with all soap, just like in the shower. And we're like, well, I was like, this is gay. It's super gay. Nothing wrong with it. It's very gay.
Yeah, it's totally gay.
But it was free. Why not?
Yeah, I would have gone to it as well.
Yeah, it was kind of fun.
Look at her body.
Anyway, we gotta get out of here. We're done.
Late. I have to go to work.
It's late.
Yeah,
Kate
not now.
Rambo's got work today.
Yeah, not right now,
That's a
obviously.
long day.
I'm pounding beers. Pounding beers and going to work. I'm not at that level of alcoholism yet, but I want one day.
Soon enough. Anyway, yeah, next week we're gonna have a pretty cool show. So people definitely stay tuned there.
And then we'll be back.
All right.
We'll be live streaming.